even for those who haven't read the book, I think they have triggered many points of inquiry for all of us. Let's open up to a few questions. We are running short on time.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak, Professor. Firstly, thank you for bringing up such a well-researched book with a reinvented vision. Also, my question is that given the exhaustive nature of this book, what kind of issues did you face while writing it?
So, Professor, I have a question to you say that seeing as Pakistan can now, or the deep state within Pakistan can now considered a non-deep state, would you say that there are other entities which are more, let's say, corporate in nature, which are deep states which we are not looking at, or which we should perhaps be looking at?
Okay, can we take one more, please? Yes, please.
So I want to ask the general one question regarding the defense aspect of this deep state. So we've already discussed that Pakistan is more of an irritant, less than a threat to India. But their deep state runs through the military, especially through the army, because the army is known to be the main force of movement and motion in Pakistani politics. So is there possibility that India can make peace with the deep state instead of the Islamic State of Pakistan, where we use our power in the Indian subcontinent to make them understand that there is no option to fight. There is no option of a fight where Pakistan wins. So it's better to cooperate rather than fight and inevitably lose.
Okay, good. Professor Pathan, you want to start?
So, to your question, what are the challenges? Well, the challenges were many. Actually, I was supposed to finish the book in 2 years, but I ended up finishing it in 4 years. The data, the social media, Twitter and all handles were still fine, but then I had to go through somebody's else. They take out a green book. I did not get the 1995 edition of that book, so I had to come to IDSA many times and try and get the green book, to get to know the military's philosophy and the military's strategic culture, as you had mentioned. So there were these points that I had to go to the South Block to meet the people from the army, where I, interviewed few army officials from the ADGPI. I had to decrypt what they said and try and understand from my thinking what exactly they meant. Because, they wouldn't come out in the open and say what I wanted them to say or what I wanted to learn. So it was a bit challenging. The questionnaire, again, was a little problematic. I had circulated a questionnaire where I thought I'll get a response at least of about 800 to 700 people. Not only people I meant were strategic expert, defense analysts. I did circulate few questionnaires in few army training institutions. Again, I did get a response, but like at the beginning, Professor Chawla, that we all know that we know our neighbor, but we actually don't know our neighbor in as many details. So even the questionnaire, though the data collected from the questionnaire was put into my book, where 60% of the respondents felt that India's superpower status perhaps can be impacted because of the continuing problems which Pakistan is creating for India through terrorism, proxy war and insurgency. So yes, and of course, to end it, was hacked when I was writing on Pakistan, and we took it up with the police. We have a net cyber police also. And after about a month, we were told that there was one cyber cafe in Punjab province of Pakistan, which had hacked my email. So, so that's it. Apart from that, I think it was just good, right?
The subject itself is like that. Janu, you want to take up especially the question about why don't we directly deal with the deep state? Why we are always talking about civilians? Maybe we can get a better deal. In fact, that was once tried with General Musharraf and his system, and they said we came very close to some agreement, but it fizzled out.
Thank you. Valid question. Very valid questions, both of them. Firstly, what Dr. Thania referred to. Look, one of these follies of the uniformed forces in India is that one is that we become conformist in nature, and second is the issue that we are not historically minded people in uniform, and we tend to sit on history like a snake on top of jwarat ke upar. We don't share. That's why most of the researchers who have wanting to research how did we go into Siachen Glacier, what happened when, what are the orders passed to the armed forces, and Prakram happened, and none of this stands declassified. Even 71, 62 war, nothing stands declassified, and it's not in open realm. Pakistan we know well. Many will not so. We do not know our other neighbors. I think we in the armed forces lack the academic rigor of learning issues beyond warfare of a neighboring countries. We need to do our work, introspect us, especially of countries beyond China and Pakistan. What about Nepal, Bhutan, Bangladesh, Maldives, Sri Lanka? We are knowledge based. So I mean, there is to answer the question. Look, you see, when we were younger, I'm still young, but when we were younger, 50s, 60s and early 70s, Pakistan used to have 22 feudal families. They were called feudal families. You can punch the Google on Pakistan's feudal families, you'll come to these 22 feudal families. They controlled Pakistan. They controlled the military also. They had huge tracts of land in very posh areas. So feudal families were the controlling, not even the armed forces. When Ayub Khan was there were these feudal families who controlled zamindars, and then this somewhere else these 22 became even larger in numbers. Two larger families, Nawaz Sharif, he's got land from nearly short of Muridke right up to Raiwind, including Lahore. The kind of land Nawaz Sharif has got, nobody's business. And similarly is for Bhuttos. So there is a feel that there is an immense amount of zamindar control still existing in Pakistan, despite Ziaul Haq coming on heavily and bringing the Islam part of it, and he wanting to change the culture of it. The military is ostensible, but then military's power also rests in money, and money rests with select families, select people across. So there is a issue out here where it requires a little. See, for example, there is a bank called Askari Bank in Pakistan. Askari Bank is, Askari word means OJ, जो हमारी army uniform है ना, उसको Askari बोलते हैं word in their language. Correct me, sir.
It's army itself. Askari is army in Arabic.
है ना?
जी.
देखा ना ये? That's why I brought him along. Okay. So Askari
is army.
It's the bank totally owned by the Pakistan army. Everybody is an army fellow. So what kind of control these people, other people are exercising beyond ISI and beyond. And ISI has got a permanent cadre and a moving cadre. मतलब जो उनका ISI DG आता है वो 1 साल 1.5 साल रहता है फिर कोर कमांडर बनने चला जाता है. So there are those issues here. So there is, I agree with you, this is a subject of much more research as to who else other than these people. Very good question. The Navy has started some work on it, and Navy has got all naval chiefs coming across and meeting except Pakistani. So there is good work done, but the point is genuine and it has not implemented as yet. So good question.
Great. So the point is, this book needs to be read wider, and I'm sure we can have further discussions and use this in classrooms as a reference point. In fact, Adil Rashid Saab is here. He is an expert in radicalism and extremism. I just wanted to flag for your attention. There is one thing, Professor Padania, which is not here, which is the Frankensteins, which bite back against the establishment itself. I don't mean Imran Khan type. I mean the violent ones. Like the TTP, for example, Tehreek-e-Taliban is not in here. It's not been covered. You spoke mostly about how the deep state instrumentalizes and uses these groups, but there are some that actually attack and actually try to destroy the establishment itself. So obviously, when you're playing with fire, at some point it can also burn you.
Yeah.
So that aspect perhaps could also have been covered. Adil sir, any thoughts on that before we just close it quickly?
Yeah, actually that point was in my script, but I missed it. One more thing, sir, I would like to say. the aristocracy of Pakistan's diplomacy is completely different from Indian diplomacy. There, if you have an aristocratic culture, you actually learn from lineage. They have no problems in drinking, wining, dining, boozing, and getting Americans on board. They have a completely different way they win over the CIA and the American operatives. We coming from competitive civil services, making our careers, we have a completely different mindset. And the Westerners find themselves very comfortable. Michael Rubin, who had come to IDSA, said we find ourselves very comfortable with the Pakistanis, and Indians ask too many moral questions. They are very inconvenient.
Idealistic.
Yes.
Very interesting. Different political cultures, but this needs to be read. So students, please give a big hand to the panelists and the authors. Thank you. Thank you all.